record on this computer. I know I admitted, where's Lori? I admitted her, right?
There's only 6 participants.
I know, but I hit admitted for her and then very strangely, she dropped off. Can you,
if it was something on her end.
Can you email her, Rebecca?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. Otherwise, what I can do actually is I'm gonna disable the waiting room so anybody can come in. I'm gonna.
Hi, Michael.
Hey.
As you drink your coffee, I shouldn't do that to you.
Oh, no, it's nice to see you again.
Good to see you. We're excited about this.
Good, me too. Me too. It's
awesome.
always fun to do anything with the university.
Well, we appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks for always coaching me along here in this process.
Well, if you want us to give you more help, we're always here.
I like help. Yeah. Yeah. It turns out you can use a lot of help as an entrepreneur.
It turns out, right?
Yeah.
Rena, if you want to wait just one more minute and then get started, if you want to do an intro of yourself and this, and then if you want to do an intro of Michael, or he can do it himself, whichever you guys want to do, you can do both.
Yeah.
And then just get started.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I wish I could place people on my screen where I want them. Okay. Lori Nixon from Minnesota is with us.
Hello.
Hi, Lori.
Lori.
I'll put on my video just a
Okay.
second. Sorry, I was having a hard time getting on.
Okay, good. All right, now this is being recorded, everyone. Just letting you know. So he laughs. Okay, what I'll do is I'm going to close that. And I'm going to do this. So it looks good because we're recording. Okay, I'm going to begin in about 2 seconds. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. There you go. Hi, welcome to Hippy Feet Day. I am the interim dean of the College of Business and Economics, and I am so happy to be here with Michael Mader from Hippy Feet. He is the founder of Hippy Feet. I have been a faculty member with UWRF for 14 years, and I was also the academic advisor for the UWRF Innovation Challenge. And we had teams of people who learned how to take an idea and do rapid testing to determine if that idea will work in the marketplace. We use lean startup methodology to conduct interviews with potential customers, and we learn how to pivot when one idea doesn't work and we go on to the next. It's a very, very rapid testing. This is a way to be able to test our ideas quickly in a low-cost way, and we learn how to build a business model that is likely to be more successful. So Michael Mader is a 2016 UWRF grad. Welcome to Michael. He actually won second place at the UWRF Innovation Challenge in 2016. And what was interesting then, we went on to the Wisconsin Big Idea Tournament in Madison, and he won first place there in the whole state. As a result of that, he also won a $25,000 Idea Advance grant, and he also went on to compete in the International Business Model Competition. So when he's not working on Hippy Feet, he likes to watch hockey. He drinks too much coffee. Don't we all? You know, I have my mug here too. And he likes to listen to Frank Ocean. He's a proud father of 3 cats. I am the proud parent also of 4 cats, and you might find them kind of photobombing us during the session today. It's one of the wonderful things of being able to work remotely. So I'll just turn this over to Michael if you would like to do a little bit more of an explanation of what Hippy Feet is.
Yeah, so it's great to be on here today and speaking with you all. As Marina mentioned, Hippy Feet first got to start on the University of River Falls, Wisconsin campus. It was an idea that I had after recovering from a traumatic brain injury. So during my senior year, the fall semester of my senior year of college, I fell off of a longboard. Of course, I wasn't wearing a helmet, and that led to a fracture in my orbital bone and then a fracture on the inside of my skull, a traumatic brain injury, and then 3 months of recovery followed that. During that period of recovery, I recognized how fortunate that I was to have a family, a support group, of family and friends that were not just willing to help me financially, but emotionally support me during kind of my time of need. They covered rent, they covered groceries, they drove me to my doctor's appointments, and without them, I saw homelessness as being the most logical outcome. So I wanted to build a company that could act as a support group for those that didn't have one. I walked into an advisor's office at the University of River Falls and said, I have this grand idea and I want to still graduate on time. And they pointed me in the direction of Dr. Onken here. And we got to work on a business model. As she mentioned, we entered it into a few competitions, was fortunate enough to win one of those competitions. Took that seed funding and rolled that into a launched business later September of 2016. Hippy Feet actually launched on a buy one, give one model. So our first efforts as a business were to sell socks and then donate a pair of socks for every pair that we sold. We did that to the scale of 20,000 socks donated. But my business partner, Sam, and I, who joined our team in May of 2016, we looked at each other and we said we wanted to do more. We didn't see donating products as really having an impact. While it was important that homeless individuals had clean pairs of socks, socks at the time were the most requested article of clothing at homeless shelters, they were still homeless. They were thankful for the socks, but their lives hadn't changed aside from the fact that they maybe had healthier feet that next day. So we wanted to pivot our model and focus on an effort that could actually make a fundamental change in the lives of people that are experiencing homelessness. And we saw the best way for us to do so is through employment. So we actually pivoted our model at the beginning of 2018, began to pilot an employment program, and then shifted fully towards an employment model in 2019, where we hire homeless youth ages 16 to 24 who are affected by homelessness, and we give them jobs in packaging, screen printing, and embroidery, and a few other product assembly type tasks. We have provided jobs to more than 120 young people affected by homelessness and have provided more than 1,700 hours of employment so far. We'll probably add another 1,000 to that in 2020 here. So coming up on a full year's worth of employment for homeless young people.
That's awesome. So what has been your biggest growth moment in all of this? Because there have been a lot of events, a lot of different things in the last 5 years that you have really been, it seems like when I turn on KARE 11 early in the morning, there you are promoting, that has happened a couple of times already. There you are promoting your next event. So what have been some of those biggest growth moments?
Yeah, I'd say the pivot that we made early on was one of the biggest growth moments we made as a business. And one of the biggest growth moments for me as an entrepreneur is taking something that had been working, a buy one, give one model, and saying, this isn't it. And having to adjust kind of the messaging around what you are doing fundamentally as a business. That was definitely a big growing moment for us, to be able to pivot and just change the way that we are giving back to the homeless community, doing so on a dime. The decision was made after a few glasses of wine, and then we said, all right, we're sticking with this and we're going with it. and no looking back. So that was definitely one of the biggest growth moments for us. But in terms of the most impactful, one of the most impactful decisions that we made that led to growth as a business is we have struggled to grow a business solely on e-commerce. E-commerce is a forever changing landscape. Companies like Facebook and Google are making it more difficult and more expensive to advertise on their platforms, harder to reach your target customer. And so it's a constant learning curve for us to go through to learn the e-commerce space. So a big growth moment that we had is we shifted our focus in terms of revenue. Rather than just solely trying to sell socks on the internet, socks are a seasonal product, and we have the best luck of selling socks during the fourth quarter of the year. Well, actually last year we did about 60% of our revenue in Q4 overall for all of 2019. Rather than just trying to focus on selling socks e-commerce, we shifted our model to focus on selling B2B as well. So we actually make custom socks for organizations like Microsoft. We've worked with Kraus Anderson. We've worked with the Minnesota Timberwolves, University of Minnesota, River Falls, several major universities, First Avenue, companies of all sorts of sizes. We shifted our revenue streams to say, you know what, we're not just going to sell online. We're actually going to sell directly to businesses and create promotional products for them, which has opened up significant amounts of revenue for us and helped us actually offset some of that seasonality from our e-commerce sales so that we can still see revenue in the first, second, and third quarter of the year.
That's great. So have there been some other more recent pivots that you've taken as well?
Yeah. So with COVID-19, I was talking about how e-commerce has been, kind of a pain point for us. When the shelter in place order went into effect, we had to shift our model to really drive online sales. As somebody who has gone through going on 4 full seasons or years of business now, this is not the time of year for us to be selling socks online. Starts getting warmer out, people start wearing sandals, and we have a much more difficult time trying to sell direct to consumer. So we really have to focus our efforts on selling B2B. The issue with COVID-19 is businesses have basically frozen all non-essential spending. Meaning promotional products, custom socks are not something that they're looking at purchasing this time of year. So we saw a good portion of our revenue just go from, we had the largest pipeline going into COVID-19. And within a week we had 12 orders canceled, back out, delay, all of which was, quite terrifying for us as a business. We had to, make a couple of hard decisions or come to a couple of hard realizations. The one is that, yes, we need to still be selling to the people that are currently in our pipeline. We still need to be adding to our pipeline. We're not going to convert on those efforts tomorrow. Those are sales that we are making for the fall, if not later. So we are basically in a relationship building stage right now where we are trying to put as many people in our pipeline as possible saying, hey, we're not trying to sell you for tomorrow. We're trying to sell you for down the road. And however we can support you during this time, just let us know. And then, of course, we've had to ramp up our marketing efforts so that we are selling online. Fortunately, we have seen some immediate results. We've increased the amount that we are kind of active on social media. We are active on our email channels more frequently than we are typically this time of year. So we've stepped up our marketing efforts. Fortunately, we have more time to step up our marketing efforts because we aren't focusing so much on this cold selling. But we've had to kind of refocus how we are looking at driving traffic to our website, growing our online sales. We're doing a lot of collaborations with other companies. We just launched a giveaway with Bumble on Monday. So we're kind of being a little creative as to how we're working with other brands or how we are kind of publicly perceived on the internet, all with the focus of driving traffic to our website, converting sales. I actually just looked yesterday, and our conversion rate online in the last 2 weeks is 3.36%, which is the highest it's been since like the first month of 2016. So we've seen the progress. Unfortunately, it's not enough to say we can solely run this business off of e-commerce, but it's kind of buying us more time. It's allowing us to solve for tomorrow's problem a little bit better than we would without these newfound e-commerce efforts.
Mhm. I think it's interesting that, and I think this sometimes comes as a shock to new graduates, even though we teach them the quantitative tools all along, that what a business really boils down to are the metrics.
Yep.
And you're measuring your the progress of your firm purely through metrics. And we have a really creative idea. It's a great social enterprise idea, but it really boils down to all the time to the metrics and to the financials.
Yeah, social enterprise. You say I love social enterprise. I think it's amazing to see capitalism solve the issues that capitalism has created. I think that's a profound paradox. Doing good isn't enough. You can have the best mission in the world. You can solve hunger. You can cure cancer. But if you can't run a good business, if your idea is to accomplish a mission, accomplish some social good through the form of a capitalistic business, you have to run a good business first. So yes, it of course comes down to all the metrics. And I feel fortunate to have studied lean startup methodology while I was at University of River Falls with you, Dr. Duncan, especially right now, because this is a period of time where we are having to make sure that every single dollar we spend is going to give us some form of ROI. We can't take substantial risks right now with our either ad spend or with any dollar that we spend. We have actually backed out on plans for an expansion into a further apparel line for this summer, things that we would be more likely to take the risk on pre-COVID-19. We have kind of backed off on and are actually more lean as to how we're running this business today because we have to be. And I think that's something that is a benefit during times like these, and it can also be a little bit of an Achilles heel when you're in truly a growth phase. While metrics are important, those that have a larger surplus of cash, maybe it's through an investment or they're looking at an 18-month window to say we need to be profitable in 18 months, but we can spend our way out of these issues until then. That's a different way of running a business than I'm used to. And so I do feel thankful to have that lean startup background kind of during this COVID-19 pandemic era.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So obviously you are changing for some of your strategic plan for 2020, but where are you envisioning that Hippy Feet is going to be in the short term and the long term? Yeah.
So for us, short term, this is an interesting year. 2019, we started the year. We had 3 team members that were kind of working on Hippy Feet, 2 full-time, 1 part-time. The person that was in that part-time role took a different position elsewhere. And so we kind of had a slingshot year. We pulled back, we took on somebody full-time salary, so we actually increased our operating expenses. And we finished the year about the same revenue-wise, but with higher operating expenses. So that was, a difficult scenario for us to kind of navigate out of. Fortunately, we were able to get on the better side of that arrangement there, I guess. But we are in a growing phase now, but we don't know how quickly we can grow in 2020. We are still fortunate to have this full pipeline. We still are predicting or projecting that we're going to beat our revenue last year. We have a new focus in terms of what our main efforts each quarter are going to be. We are no longer the people responsible for selling wholesale unless it's, a large big box retailer. We actually have brokers selling wholesale for us. We only focus on selling custom. And then, of course, we shift our mindsets to more marketing for e-commerce purposes come the end of Q3, start of Q4. For us in the short term, we really need to sell ourselves out of this particular scenario. If we can, get to September and have a pipeline that is full of relationships that we've managed since, the start of March, since the start of COVID, that actually puts us in a position that we can, take advantage of. If we can go into September with full pipeline. We're starting to close on some of these custom accounts. We actually can then take all of that sales revenue earned and then dump that into a marketing budget for Q4 marketing efforts. So 2020 is going to be a weird year. I don't know necessarily how much we can be proactive in the sense of what we're doing to plan for the big picture Hippy Feet. We really have to be proactive so that we're not reacting all the time. But we still are going to have to kind of take things slow and take things day by day and just try and, feel out what this current market or this current economy looks like. Past 2020, if we get on the flip side of COVID-19, we really want to start to focus on growing Hippy Feet into a larger, more robust brand. We started to release more apparel products last year in Q4 of 2019. We had a line of knit sweaters that did really well for us. It was kind of our first test into a true start to finished apparel product. We thought that test went incredibly well. We sold out of all of our sweaters, so we will continue to start to grow Hippy Feet more into an apparel brand and not just a socks company. Long term, I want to see us in home goods products. I think we have a really unique name, and we have a name that kind of pinpoints a period of time that's one of the most culturally vibrant periods of American history. And so we want to play into that a little bit and release products that are kind of a staple of what it means to be a hippie. On the mission side of things, I really want to develop our employment program so that it is a runway of sorts. Right now, we are offering jobs in a program that we call pop-up employment, and we've responded to COVID-19 by introducing a new program called Employment Delivered. So pop-up employment was where we are going to homeless shelters, youth resource centers, and drop-in centers where there are homeless young people already receiving services, whether that's transitional housing, education, counseling. We're going to where the young people already are. We're providing them with jobs on the spot. That way they don't have to worry about transportation. They don't have to worry about finding the employer in the first place. We bring everything to them so that it truly is a barrier-free form of income. With the shelter in place, order going into effect, our pop-up employment program was effectively squashed. We can't go into youth homeless shelters anymore because we are exposing these young people to further risk. So we actually have to be very particular about how we are providing employment. We thankfully have a nonprofit partner in St. Paul that does our screen printing and embroidery, and they hire youth through internships who are experiencing homelessness to run the embroidery and screen printing machines. They saw a loss of revenue as a result of COVID-19, so we came together and said, hey, you have youth that need work, we have work that needs to be done, and we are going to be able to provide your young people that are experiencing homelessness with more hours through packaging. So we're actually having a nonprofit partner take on more of a responsibility in our packaging efforts. But we're also working with individuals that we know are in transitional housing facilities. Some have been placed in hotels during this period of time. So we're actually delivering socks to their doorstep, saying, hey, finish this by next Friday and we'll come pick it back up and we'll have a check on hand waiting for you. Social distance, drop the box there, I'll step back, you pick it up, and vice versa. We're doing all the things we need to do to be safe about this, but it has forced us to adjust our employment model. The kind of silver lining of all that is with our new efforts with this nonprofit called Elpis, the ones that's taking more responsibility with our packaging. We've actually had conversations with them about that's a way we can solve for scale. Our pop-up employment method, it won't work when we're selling 1 million units a year. It will work on a very, very small scale, but we won't be able to have 1 million units of socks packaged by simply bringing them to drop-in centers, homeless shelters. That's just not feasible. But if we have a nonprofit partner that has a shift of people constantly working on packaging, that's a way for us to solve for the issue of scale. So it has actually forced us to establish this relationship sooner than we anticipated. And it's a nice kind of testing period for us to determine, when we start to see an increase of volume of orders, will we be able to keep up with those orders on a packaging standpoint by having a nonprofit kind of solely administer our packaging process?
So what does innovation look like? What impact has innovation at Hippy Feet had on the greater community? Can you tell us some stories of some of the impact that innovation has had?
Yeah. Innovation on a business standpoint has impacted the community just in the simple fact that it's opened doors for us in terms of collaborations with other companies. It's allowed us to kind of be creative as to how we work with different businesses. I mentioned this giveaway with Bumble. I just happen to have a friend that works for Bumble. And we were able to set up a kind of relationship where we are now promoting Bumble products through Hippy Feet's social media pages. We're getting likes on our Instagram account and follows on our Instagram account as a result. So it's allowing Bumble to get exposure in the Minneapolis market, and it's allowing Hippy Feet to get exposure to our social media and grow that portion of our business. Mm-hmm. Innovation has impacted, the lives of homeless young people the most, I would say. It's amazing to see what a simple job can do for a young person that has experienced homelessness. There are a number of cases where people we employed are no longer homeless as a result of the efforts that we've kind of provided with them. One of these individuals, his name is Pierre. Pierre is somebody that I first started working with about 2 years ago. When I first met him, he was living on the streets. About 6 months after we first started working together, we were partnering with a nonprofit called YouthLink to do the employment out of. Pierre was able to find some transitional housing with YouthLink. So he was getting employed at the place that he was now living at. It wasn't full-time employment, but it was enough to kind of keep his cell phone on, allow him to still pursue other forms of income elsewhere. He was able to secure a job. He's worked at a couple of restaurants since then. Unfortunately, he was laid off during this COVID-19 pandemic, but he had employment prior to this, which means he's able and eligible to collect unemployment, and he is still able to keep that roof over his head. He actually has a car of his own now. He's got an apartment of his own now. We've still been doing some work during this period of time with PR on the side just to try and keep him with some form of income that's not just coming from unemployment during this. So it's been nice to see how Pierre has taken that first opportunity that we provided with him. He's used that as kind of a confidence builder. He's housed, he's employed, and he's much more self-sufficient than he was when we first came into encounter with him.
That is an incredible success story right there. That warms my heart tremendously to hear that out of UWRF, out of that idea that you are having such a large and really incredible impact upon the world, upon the community. So that makes me feel really great that you're successful in this. So what does innovation look like to you? How do you do that?
Innovation, I think innovation and curiosity are one and the same. Innovation is with execution attached to it. So innovation starts with curiosity. How it becomes innovation is actually executing the idea that comes out of your creativity. So I like to constantly challenge myself. I like to always be learning. If there is something that I find interesting, I'm gonna try and chase it down a little rabbit hole until I know enough about it to actually apply it to my own life. I think innovation starts with curiosity. I think that you need to be a curious person to be an innovator. But anybody can be curious. Not everybody can innovate because it does require that execution. So it's a combination of execution and curiosity. I think innovation is something that I've been able to continue forward with solely based off my curiosity, and then it doesn't hurt to have the pressure of running a business to constantly need to innovate to keep it alive, to keep it relevant. I think there's definitely that factoring in where you have to innovate to survive in this world. In terms of entrepreneurship, unfortunately, I would look forward to the day where I can simply run the business and do the same things every day when I get up and out of bed. Routine definitely helps, but unfortunately that's not always the case, and you have to be innovative to kind of continue forward, to stand out.
So if we're going to be talking about innovation, and you alluded just for a second on other entrepreneurs, what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs, especially those who are trying to innovate, come up with that different idea, that new idea? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah. Generally speaking, I'm a big believer. If you want to do something, just go out and do it. I have a million friends talk about their business ideas, and I don't have any other friends that have started a business. A lot of people like to kind of dream and talk and maybe plan for something, but when it comes time to actually doing it, they don't want to commit to it. I think that's a very hard step to make, and not everybody's cut out for it. But just go out and do things. If you have an idea, just go out and do it, especially right now. This is a really strange period of time. We're going to get on the other end of this, and there are a lot of people that are going to look back at the COVID-19 pandemic, and their experience is going to be, I chilled in my house for 3 months. When your experience can really be an opportunity to learn new things. I think that if you want to be somebody who's innovative, this is your opportunity to be innovative. If you want to learn something new, this is your time to learn something new. If you have a business idea, there has never been a better time to start working on your business plan. Unfortunately, there are businesses that are going to close as a result of this. There already have been several businesses that are going to close. There's going to be a hole in the market. There's going to be gaps that need to be filled. And if you are somebody who is motivated and has an idea, start working on your idea right now, because you will regret it if you don't. Flash forward to the post-COVID-19 world. Millionaires are made in recessions. So if you have an idea, if you have a passion, this is your time to kind of take that step and start working on it.
Okay. I'd like to open it up now for questions from anybody else who's listening in today. Are there any questions?
I covered it all, huh? All right.
Hi, Michael, Sherry Marnell. Welcome back, I guess, right, to our virtual campus. Just quick question for you. So naturally, I love your energy, love the curiosity and execution piece. I think you're spot on with nailing that. But naturally, oftentimes, entrepreneurs have a hard time energizing their team, right? Because you've moved beyond just yourself. Now you're engaging a team. Can you tell us more how you have been able to get your team just as excited as you are on your mission?
Yeah, so I'll say that Hippy Feet is a team of two, myself included, in terms of internal employees, full-time employees. We have one other individual that does some part-time work with us in terms of a sales kind of commission-based position. But we do have young people that still need to be motivated as well. So there is kind of two types of motivation that I need to spark. One, I need to keep my business partner motivated, and vice versa. He and I are fortunate to kind of have a really good back and forth, where if one person is down, the other will help lift them up. But it's something where, my business partner he actually was in California prior to the shelter in place. And so he worked from home for 14 days. He did a quarantine for 14 days. That was hard to personally stay motivated, but to also know that I was bringing a good energy to him as well. So we actually, after the third or fourth day, we had been communicating via text. We had decided, you know what, every single day, let's hop on a video call. I don't care if it's to talk about what you had for breakfast. Let's get in front of each other. Let's have that personal interaction that's not just done through texting or through email. So I think that face-to-face connection was really important for us during that kind of quarantine period of time. We still see each other at our office now. We've kind of decided, you know what, let's just meet up at the office. Don't see your family, I won't see mine, and we'll see each other, and that's it. So we've been able to kind of be together during this period of time, which has been fortunate. We have kind of begun to challenge each other more so. I mentioned we've had to kind of shift our focus towards marketing specifically for e-commerce. So what we are doing is we're trying to get really, really good at shooting video content. We have all the equipment. We just don't have necessarily the hours or expertise of working with said equipment to turn out professional quality video. So we have challenged each other. My responsibility is to shoot really pretty video. His responsibility is to take that pretty video and edit that video into an actual project that we can, put out and turn it over to the world and be proud of. So we've kind of challenged each other to learn something new that's going to benefit our business. That's been a good way for us to motivate each other. In terms of the young people that we work with, it's also difficult to go in there or to not have that personal interaction with young people. When we're employing out of nonprofits or homeless shelters, we're usually working with a group of 5 to 10 individuals. It's really easy to motivate somebody in a group setting for me. I just can kind of feed off of other people's energies and recognize if one person is down, then let's take this other person and go cheer them up. So it's something that it's a lot easier for me to motivate people when I'm in front of them, when I can have like a group kind of setting and interact in that dynamic. It's been challenging for me to motivate some of the young people when I can't physically be like overseeing their work efforts. So I do the same thing. I will hop on a FaceTime call. All the young people that we are working with that have been placed in transitional housing during this time, they have my number. They can call me at any time. I'm a lot more kind of just flexible with them in terms of, if I give you a box of socks that I need packaged by next week, then if you get it to me by Friday at 7:00 at night, that's fine. I just need it by next week. I'm really trying to be as flexible, understanding with these young people as I possibly can. And I've seen that as a good way to keep them motivated too. They are thankful that you're reaching out and offering them work, but they're also thankful that you're offering them work in a way that can be done at their own pace. It's something that we've kind of had to take a step back from efficiency and just focus on getting the work done in no matter way, or no matter which way possible. So,
Are there other questions?
You exemplify hope by what you're doing, by your actions. I was just wondering, with students that we have that might be facing very dire times, what words of hope would you specifically give them to keep going, even though you can't be physically with them?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to stay hopeful during this period of time, undoubtedly, but I'd say take it day by day. That's really all you can do. There are days that, I'm not as optimistic as I may perceive. And I will give myself the time. What I've been trying to do to stay confident, to stay kind of productive, is I've been really strict about building a routine. I don't go to the office until like noon, if that. I start my days, I have a cup of coffee, I do a little bit of cleaning around my house, I exercise, and then I dive into my work. I'll work from home for a few hours and then I'll get to the office. I'm kind of taking it at a slow pace. And I'm doing so that I don't lose steam. It's very easy to lose steam when your days are either stuck in an apartment or going back or going to an office and back home and nowhere in between. So I think that finding a routine is a good way to keep up the hope, and also don't get too down on yourself. If one day you get out of bed and it's just not your day, then fine. Don't do that day. Watch the Netflix that day. That's totally okay. Sometimes we can binge watch TV, and that's not a harmful thing. Just don't do it every day. But if you feel like you need that break, give yourself the break. But try and set those routines. Try and set expectations for yourself. I've been journaling a lot, kind of writing down goals for myself for either the long term or for the short term. I made a list the other day of all the things I wanted to accomplish in a lifetime, and one of them was learn an instrument. So I bought a guitar. And I've been slowly trying to teach myself guitar. It's something that, I don't feel like I would have normally had the time to try and, learn a new instrument. But I do feel like I have the time now. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that in a way that is, productive and not just kind of entirely focused on self-care.
That's a great answer. Are there other questions? Okay, well, let's wrap this up then, if there are no other questions. Thank you so much, Michael. This has been just really great hosting this today. We wish you all the best, all of us do. we pull for you every single day. I think of you often, and really, I'm so happy to see that you are continuing forward with this. I really see a lot of potential. I think you've ironed out a lot of the glitches along the way in the last few years, and I think you are really right poised for success. And so I hope that gives you some optimism as well, because I'm seeing that you're just right on the brink of this, of just really scaling this enterprise. And I think and that's going to be your next challenge, I think, is scaling the enterprise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm thankful to have had such great mentors along this journey. And yeah, we'll keep it going. Like I said, take it day by day, and just try and keep growing this as quickly as we can.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.